Welcome to Inner Voice of Knowing podcast. I'm Kay Doran, a shamanic leadership coach and healer, guiding you through life with a foot in both worlds. When you understand the terrain of the inner landscapes, the mental, emotional, spiritual, and energetic, you will become the leader within your physical life, both personally and professionally. After all, the power of change is in your hands. Let's get this journey started. Welcome back to Inner Voice of Knowing. I'm always really excited to interview incredibly creative, spiritually heart-based people, and this couple are definitely that in spades. I know them personally because they started off as my coaches, and in fact, they're still my coaches. They did my branding. So if you love my podcast tile, hair of this powerhouse creative couple, Rachel Dunn, Michael Hull of Girl Director Academy, but also Impact Film Group, amongst other things, musician, Michael, author, the list just goes on, which is why I say you're both creative geniuses. But before we really get into sort of bringing you into this conversation, I just wanted to ask a question about, was there a tipping point, or what was it that drove you both to bring your creative geniuses together and develop brand leaders and voices, and the alignment with all the gifts that you actually have?
Can I lead this one? Yeah, this is great. I absolutely. There is a specific moment. Back in 2013, it was around February. I remember the day specifically. We were living in Sydney, in Bondi. Rachel and I had been together for a long time, and Rachel had always worked in TV and film, and that'll come out. I'd always done my music video clips and recorded, and I'd been like the musician style filmmaker. It was sort of still quite all zero budget stuff. Rachel did big budget stuff. And I'd been working in finance for a long time, and I'd taken time off that. And we'd always talked about, we tried working together, but it was really hard to make it into something which, was going to be a stage where I could leave my finance work and work with Rachel. Anyway, we'd gone through this period. I'd stopped working for a while, and I really thought about, do I need to go back to finance? I don't really want to. I'd always wanted to be a filmmaker. That's what I've wanted to be, as well as a musician. And then I was umming and ahhing and stuff. And Rachel said, look, why don't you just take some time out? Because I journal a lot. Take your journal for as long as you need to, and make a decision.
Love
what you're going to do. Are you going to go back to finance or IT that I did before that, blah, 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 or are you going to work with me that we're sort of talking about, which I was very scared of doing, because that would mean one income between two people. Anyway, so I went down onto Bondi Beach. Rachel thought I'd be gone for a few hours. And half an hour later, I rolled up back at the door and I said, right, I'm joining you in Girl Director. That was what Rachel's business was.
Chills all over me. What a powerful moment. Do you think being in, out amongst nature and all the rest of it, and just having that space helped you come to that knowing of that decision?
I think yes, and also just being given permission, having amazing relationship with Rachel, where she was going to accept, well, it was an ultimatum, but you would have accepted whichever way I had gone. And I know Rachel wanted me to work with her in the business, and I had my concerns, as I said, around having one financial thing. But I think because I journal so much, and I literally did a pros and cons, it was as simple as that. Yeah. And it was just really clear to me, I want to do this. Me working with Rachel, us going and starting to do that video production, which is what she did then. It was video production. And with my technical skills, I thought, this will be the quantum leap, and this will be the beginning of me really getting seriously into becoming a filmmaker, which is what I really wanted to do. And the weird thing was, an hour after I walked in that door, Rachel had a random call referred to her from someone for a financial planner who wanted some music. So I wanted some videos done for promoting her business. And Rachel was saying, well, my partner, he worked in finance for ages, and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, we can do that. A week later, we were filming. And I was Rachel's crew from when she used to have like crews that cost, 10, 5, 15 grand or whatever a day.
Yeah.
And I was her crew doing everything. And we did it on a budget and we did it really cleverly and made great videos together. And that was the beginning, which led then to us starting to work with business owners and teaching them how to use video and how to market with all of our massive skill set that we both had between us to really do that. And that was the beginning of what, as you mentioned before, was Girl Director Academy and is these days Girl Director Creative, our agency.
Yeah, amazing. And there's a lot of things packed into that, Michael, actually sort of that calling, that permission.
You'll get that.
I'm sure some couples might be listening to this going, work together? Are they crazy? Because it must come with its own challenges. But like I'm always saying, as you know, I've got a foot in both worlds, right? I'm hearing you say you've got a foot in both worlds. So IT and finances and always wanting to be a film director, a musician, and you write. So
left and right brain.
Yeah. And then the minute that you took that quantum leap, there's the universe that steps in to back it up. Was there a tipping point for you, Rachel? How did it unfold for you?
You mean when Michael joined or just in general?
Just that inspiration to bring your gifts together, because you both have this extraordinary gift of a genuine passion and celebration for getting people and brands on camera, tapping into who they are authentically, not who they think they should be or how they should be, and bringing those voices and that imagery and those brand stories all together out of individuals. That's a unique calling.
Okay. I think because I always wanted to be a music video director since I was a teenager, and that was my passion, and it still is my passion. I love music biopics or anything to do with music clips. And when I met Michael at a wedding, and I'm like, I beelined it straight for the tree, and I'm like, he is mine. And I hadn't met him yet. So
I think I saw something once where you posted about a famous singer, and he was like had that sort of
another
swagger and look.
Yeah. Wonder what that is.
Do tell.
I'll just talk about the moment, because I thought to myself, I really I had my list. Like I did have a list of the qualities I was looking for in a person was really clear to me, and music was part of that. And so when I met Michael and the more I got to know him, there's just so many things that we just come together, because I don't sing, I don't play an instrument, but Michael does. So it's so great when I'm very much a visionary and Michael's very much the details. So there's so many parts of the puzzle that comes together as one with us working together. And
you're the music video director as well, which is the other complementary side to my music.
But I just find that I think one of our first projects that we did together when we were dating, I'm just like, right, you need some new photos. And so I got Michael to we went to university in Sydney, and I did all these cool photos, and they were really freaking good photos. And had him posing on the bed and in the the couch and outside, and let's get those photos out. Yeah. They're okay to look at. Don't worry. They're not.
Rachel, what was it that you feel that existed in you that you needed to let go of? Because clearly you both took leaps of faith, what people now call quantum leaps, leaving some sense of security to follow that aspirational calling that comes from in. What did you have to let go about yourself in order to be able to land where you are now?
I don't know if it's about letting go. Sometimes I just think it's like I just leap. Yep. Instead of not, and I actually don't think, and then it's afterwards that I go, oh no, what have I done? And then I question it. So it's kind of like I leap before I know what I want, I go for it, but then I kind of pull back, and that's a pattern. So it's really interesting that you say that, because it's not necessarily the fear, it's the fear afterwards, that after making the leap that happens.
Yeah.
Also, I'd say that when you left Channel 10, sorry, Channel 7. Rachel was in Channel 10 and then Channel 7. That's when you said, I'm going to make a real go of this under my own steam, which is around the time you started Girl Director as well.
But that was redundancy. So it's kind of like, yeah, there's just leaps, but I'm never afraid to make really bold moves. And I feel like I'm excited by that. That kind of almost inspires me so much. But then there's that little voice that comes in afterwards.
Have you always been like that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Always. Yeah.
What about you, Michael?
I'm a bit more, if you look at the disc scale, I'm the steady. So I'm a bit more, I get ideas. I'm a big thinker. I mean, Rachel talked about the big picture. I'm a big thinker because it comes in my novel and things, but I'm a bit more scaredy cat. I'll absolutely, want to kind of really work it out first before I take a leap. But when I'm ready, when I make a decision and I go for it. And and it might be, if I'm not sure about something, I'm not going to make a decision. So I need to actually hit a point where I'll go, okay, I've got enough information. I'm ready for that change. Now we do it. And then I turn over that new leaf. And that's how I've always worked. Whereas Rachel will do things a bit more kind of like on a whim and just go, but it's great because as a couple, this is what I love about us. Rachel will have an idea and she'll throw ideas, and sometimes she'll throw ideas and go, what? And I go, no. Other times she'll kind of throw an idea and I go, that's really cool. And then we might decide as a couple that we're going to take that on and do that. So she has the drive and the get up and go to try and look at different things. Whereas I can still get a bit tunnel vision in what I'm looking at. So it's really lovely to have someone who will just kind of like throw something completely left field at us. And we kind of go, wow, that's cool. And we end up some of our biggest adventures through that process.
So it sounds like that it really takes also the respect of each other's gifts.
Yeah.
And how they work well together.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people are going to want to know, well, how do you manage to navigate living together, working together, playing together? And you both do it so beautifully. I mean, I got to stay because you were generous enough that when I had my brand shoot, it was like you picked me up. An hour's drive, listeners, an hour's drive to come and pick me up. Never met before other than in the coaching Zoom rooms. And took me back to your beautiful property and your home. And I got to stay there for 3 nights or something like that. And you can't hide the dance between the two of you. And that doesn't mean you probably don't have challenges at times, but very naturally there is this beautiful flow between the two of you. And both being creative, is there ever any moments of competition?
Yeah.
I don't think it comes up a lot. It does. I'm trying to think of where it does. It probably does in terms of maybe who's.
It does. I was just thinking about.
There is some example.
Because there's times where I go, Michael, your designs suck. And he'll be just like, no, they look good. And I'll be just like, I'm the designer.
The truth will set you free.
And I will just then pull my rank.
Yeah, that's right. And there are times when I'll go, I don't care. I like it.
And
this is what I'm running with.
Okay.
But I think it's what it is. Look, we are trusting. You said there's respect before. I think that's a great thing. We're trusting each other, respect each other. And we do have we have our boundaries where there are things where we just sort of know that's my thing or that's your thing and respect that. But I think it's also we're very open. We talk about stuff, and that's always been my way. Even before I met Rach, I always wanted to have friends and people and relationships where I could talk about stuff, and that doesn't work with some people in relationships. So those relationships obviously aren't around. But where we work, we just soundboard off each other when we need to. There's things and there's issues and there's times when we might be really stressed, but we're always there for each other. And when we do, one of us does have maybe a bit of a, something's melting down or just the pressure's getting too high.
Yeah.
It's amazing how the other one can really stump up and okay, cool, talk about it. What do you need? Let's work through it. It's going to be okay. We're going to work through stuff because we live a lot on the edge with our business. Our dreams are massive. What we've done so far with business and creativity is just the tip of the iceberg, okay? Seriously, what we're working on now is huge. And so we have to hold space for that. and also be willing to let it take its time while we work it and not be
controlling it,
not control, and not let down and get really and get plugged in, thinking it's never going to happen. All that kind of negative talk that will not make it happen. So we've got to do that. So we can help each other in that way, and I think that really helps.
So you both have clearly a background in incorporating into your physical creations the understanding of energy and the unseen. Where did that come from, Rachel?
I think we both journal because we've done a lot of personal development work over the years, just so many different ones. But we come back to sitting on the couch together, and I'll come up with a few questions to journal, or we'll take a spiritual card, one of yours, Kay, given us, and we'll look at that, or we'll do a rant around the house, or we'll put some music on and dance. Like, the great thing that I love, and I know a lot of couples would love this but don't have the opportunity, is that we get to grow together. And I think that when you don't do personal development together, you don't grow together, and you don't, like, we want the best for each other, and we want to always hold the best for each other there, so that we may not see it yet, but the other person does, and we step into that. So we just have always kind of, like you say, that dance of we work with the energy, we work together on stuff, we do personal development, and we hold space for each other.
And it comes back to our hearts as well. It does come back to our heart. You sort of heart-centered, I think. That's the thing. What feels good there? My gut speaks to me a lot, so I listen to my gut as well. But I really do try and listen for the gut's where the fear and a lot of those things are, but the heart is where I get real direction.
Okay, I'm glad you clarified that, because I thought I was going to say, well, I think we might change the name from gut to inner voice of knowing. That's true. You know, it does. All that fear does come from down there. And then that, you know, allowing that voice to come through, that sense of knowing from the heart center to be able to be your GPS and guide you. How hard was it, Rachel, going from being behind the scenes, because now you're right in front of the camera all the time, playing and exploring, and all the different looks that you can come up with are just amazing.
Thank you. Look, I think being in front of the camera was always really hard for me. And I think it was not until I found a cause greater than me that I really stepped into that place. I am definitely more comfortable on the other side of the camera, but I also know the importance of being able to speak your ideas. I mean, it's so important wherever you are, whether you're on a camera, whether you're in a pitch or a presentation, or because I'm a director speaking to crew, you've got to be able to express those ideas. So I just think it all comes down to being a good communicator. And when I learned about being on camera, it just helped my communication so much better, because if I was awkward and weird, then where else am I being awkward and weird? So
that's a great experience to have, considering what you've been doing in Girl Director. And I know that, I never used to like to be photographed, and then I had to learn, in my industry, I need to do lives and be seen and all of the rest of that, and got comfortable with that. But I know that when I started that 5-day challenge with you, which I'll sign up to free things and then never really do them. This one was that deep knowing, that deep calling. And then I think I had 5 minutes with you guys, and it's like, right, I'm doing this 5 days. And have learned
dreamt about you as well. I remember writing. I had a couple of dreams about
I know. There's so many people around Australia that will go, oh my God, I could hear you in my head, Kay, or you came into my dreams.
Right.
Your experience of your own journey of going behind the camera to in front of the camera must give you that understanding where you can actually relate to people that are like, I'm called to do this. I know I need to do this. I know this is where the world is right now in getting our message out in what feels like flooded markets, because we've got social media. It must have really given you, I understand, I've walked in your shoes, and this is how I can guide you through it. And if I can do it, so can you.
Yeah, and especially with a lot of directors that I've heard that like film directors that get them, that they act as well, I just hear the difference in how they are as directors. So I know that it just helps you have much more empathy. Whereas when I used to direct and just have people in front of the camera, I didn't really have that lived experience. Whereas I just know that it's helped me be a better director by going through that.
Yeah. And you're both taking really big leaps. Clearly, you know, you're on the, what I call the initiate's path, because the more I get to know you, I know how many big leaps, and I know each leap gets bigger and bigger because, you know, we're expanding ourselves and we get that history behind us of, well, I landed in that one and then I landed in that one. And, you know, so, okay, the fear's here again, right? Let's go. And so I know Girl Director's going through a change. Mm-hmm. And your film company is coming more to the front. And then for you, Michael, and what I love about this is because you're a bit younger than me, but sort of, you know, you're in that more mature bracket, shall we say, not giving away numbers, yes. Where a lot of times people are too afraid. And I know we had that conversation, Michael, when I had the pleasure of staying at your place. And it's like going for your solo career as Mike. And I love the fact that you've sort of creating yourself, but that other aspect by shortening your name to Mike Hole. And, you know, going for your solo career at an age where many would go, oh, why even bother? Talk me through that. Talk us through that, because I thought that was just such a beautiful conversation and a very honest thing to say. I mean, I'm 60 and look at what I'm going for. Do you know what I mean? And that's a really important thing to talk about as we mature, going, well, your dreams don't stop and there is no age barrier on what we can step into.
Yeah, I look, it's a big thing. Look, when I was in my 20s, I've been playing music in bands and writing songs since I was a teenager, of all different levels, as well as doing classical music. But when I was in my 20s, I had my couple of bands and I was ready to make it big and go somewhere. And I had many, many sleepless nights. Insomnia went on for, felt like 3 years, when I really, why wasn't I getting to where I wanted to be? Because I was tied down by the job, blah, blah, blah. And I went through this whole transition through that period. By the time I hit about 30, I started to, I guess I'd probably gone through my Saturn return as well. I kind of came out the other side of that going, okay, cool, just start doing music because I enjoy it. Yeah. And that was a huge shift. And then a number of years, I went through a period where I didn't have any bands and I just did my own bit of recording at home, but it never got past demo stage. And then I joined a band and they were younger than me. And it was interesting. And the youngest of them was in that stage I was, and he was just so angsty, and he was driven and stuff, but he'd get so frustrated. And I was kind of like, I'm just loving playing, man. Let's just play. Let's just jam. This is a great band. We're brothers. And so that all carried on. And then when we moved up here about 11 years ago to the Sunshine Coast, where we live now from Sydney, when I moved here, I started another band. I've been playing with that band. We've literally just released our next recording, by the way, our EP, Brother Rock, today with the Brindlemen. Yeah. So that band is guys here on the coast, 4 of us. We've been playing together since 2018. And that's been really fun. And one of the things about age I love is that, so I will disclose, numbers can mean whatever you want to make them mean, but I'm turning 57 in a couple of months, right? I feel like I'm literally still like that 30-year-old, not 25. I've moved through that Saturn return period. I'm still 30. And so, but my mindset is I love music, so let's just make it. Let's have fun. And one of my bandmates, so 2 of us are about the same age, the other one's 10 years older, and Phil's just turned 76, my band. Yeah. And he is a rocker. He's Brother Rock. That's what he's called. He's Brother Rock. And Phil has a totally different view, and he loves music. We all love music, and we love playing. So why would you do something like music if you didn't love it? Why would you do it only if it's attached to something? Why would you have a relationship with someone because you want something from them other than wanting to just be with them? I want to be with music. I love being with music and I love exploring it. And to me, music is that exploration, that writing, and I love the recording and I love the collaboration, the jamming. And some of my biggest highs in life have been moments when I'm gigging or playing, and there's nothing better when you're playing and you're singing at the top of your voice and you got a crowd and everyone's dancing and they're even singing along with you if you get to that pleasure. It's the most ecstatic feeling, and that's a different high.
Yeah.
But the thing that within that is the exploration. And you talked about being initiates. I feel like I'm an initiate purely in songwriting, and I've written hundreds of songs and I've been doing it for years, and I just want to get really good. I just want to become a great songwriter and a great producer of my music and a great player. And that drives me. So when I write a new song or write some lyric and it grabs me and I love it, I get excited and I want that excitement, and it sticks in my head and I go round and round and round. Yeah. And while I'm doing that, why would I stop? And that to me is a passion I've always had, and that's where I want to keep going. So I think it's when people want to attach certain requirements or successes. I don't want to just play in my bedroom. I do want to put music out there and share it. But there's nothing better. If I just get one person said, wow, I love that. That was great. That makes my day every time I get something like that.
And if larger success came from that, that
rock
would be
on,
okay.
I will ride that wave as far as I can go. And I don't believe the age can get in the way. There are people out there I've heard of where in their 70s or 60s, they've literally had some success and become, famous. It doesn't seem to happen that often, but I reckon there's probably more of them out there than a lot of us know. And you don't need to be, I don't believe anymore that I would need to have, 1 billion people following me. That'd be awesome, of course, but that's not my goal.
Yeah.
But if I just started to get a few 100,000 would be amazing, right? Incredible achievement, which is nothing compared to, say, Ed Sheeran. But I don't care. That would be an amazing goal. So I just want to do that.
Not attached to it in the sense of that'll be your success rather than being in the joy of, as you said, just doing the music because you love music.
I still want some recognition. I still want it to be heard. I don't want to just be literally not being heard because I feel like I've got something to offer.
Hear it?
Yeah, Rachel hears a lot over and over and over and over and over as I'm doing the mixing.
Yeah. No, I understand.
But I do. It is important, but it's not the be all and end all. And I do love the making of it. It's a bit of it's a two-handed thing, I think.
I think the difference is there was a leap from when you're younger and we just want and I'm ready, and it's to a certain element of you're now doing just for the pure joy of this is a part of who and how I am, part of my soul expression, if you like, and you can still have the aim on the top of the mountain, but just the joy of each moment towards the top of that mountain is what's important.
Absolutely. Yeah, beautifully put. Yeah, and it is a mountain because you climb, but that mountain may never have an end. It's in the clouds.
Well, there's another mountain behind that, and sometimes sometimes it's great to look up. I say this to my coaching clients, but then there are times that you also just need to be in each moment and putting one foot in front of, otherwise that can get daunting and the ego can get completely attached to it again. And so what about you, Rachel? Because you're going through some big leaps, clearly, because you both take big jumps together. And what are the big leaps and the next expansion for you that are taking place?
Well, there's a few. I'm directing a big documentary that we're working on at the moment, which is in pre-development, which is a breastfeeding doco, and that's a huge one. Also another big one, we're in pre-production, which is Symphony of the Earth, and I've actually got a video going out. It's a reel next week, and I said to our VA, I said, I'm scared to release that, and I'm thinking, okay, well then that's good. I should release it because it's a video looking for Sting, and so I'm actually putting the call out because I would love to speak to him about Symphony of the Earth. So I just figured that if I put a video out saying this is what I want to do, maybe he will hear it. Maybe that connection can be made. So I'm just putting it out there.
Well, the odds are better. This is a really powerful moment of what you're sharing here, Rachel, because it's like so many people will sit back and, aspire to something but not take these small actions, I suppose, that could turn into big results. Like, what have you got to lose? You know, I reach out to people, and one of my things that I say is, you know what? Yes sounds great, no doesn't hurt. So it's like, if you don't ask, if you don't do something like what you're doing, you haven't set off the ripple effect.
Exactly. And I sent there was some ideas that I had probably about, I don't know, maybe 18 years ago or something for a particular band that I really loved. And now with AI, I actually created the images that were in my head for that storyboard that I'd been holding for so long.
Yeah.
I made 2 frames and I sent them on Instagram, and I'm like, I just had to create these because they've been in my head for so long, and now I can get them out. Here's a couple of frames of what it looks like.
And who's the band?
Well, I'm not going to say.
Why not? He might be listening.
You never know.
I'm going to say it.
Okay,
you say it.
It was Jeff Martin from the Tea Party.
And say it, because the producer who produces this amazing podcast is heavily involved in music.
There you go.
So, I mean,
Jeff Martin's
song.
It was just one song in particular. I had very clear visuals, and they were so strong. And so I created a lookalike person that looked like him, and I created a couple of frames. I sent them to him, and I just said, look, we live in the same area. If you're needing a director for your next music video, then let's catch up. So it was just, but this is so good with AI now. I've got ideas sitting there that are just, I have to get them out. And some of them, it's just, you never know when you may do those things you've always been thinking.
You are both amazing at pivoting, because we were, well, you are, because, and immersing yourself in something new to explore it, and then your ability to share it has been part of, inspiration for me. I'm still lagging behind in a lot of stuff. I'm going to have to go back in because I'm a lifetime member and, keep looking at stuff.
You're amazing, Kay. You are one powerful woman.
Thank you. I appreciate that. But, AI wasn't around when I started with you both. Well, it was, but let's say it hadn't hit, it was there, but it hadn't sort of done that explosion into the world like what's there now. And then the next thing is you were both talking about it. You've incorporated it then into your programs and in terms of even consciously crafting and creating, which I prefer over the word manifestation, because we're actually been manifesting since we came out into the world, just not consciously. What you're able to create now in terms of what I would term a power poster is so much more realistic, because you're able to create something that looks like someone's face and really create this immersive experience. And then I love the courage that it takes, because it does. But the courage is like that. It's like, just do it. Just do it. I'm always saying our inner voice of knowing is our GPS. And this is what you're both listening to. Whether you call it something different, it really doesn't matter. But you're being guided by your inner GPS.
Yeah.
And what are some of the things that have really landed that have been significant for you both by doing that, by what you're doing now, Rachel? Just throw it out there, just on the podcast, say the name, because who knows, throw the pebble in the pond and watch the ripples.
Well, the one thing I was going to say that you said that was really powerful, Kay, and I remember mentioning it to Michael, and I just slipped my mind, but it's something about energy. Mm-hmm. Do you remember that conversation we had?
Exactly. That's really good. Follow the energy, was it?
Was it follow? That's your remember that thing I said, oh my God, you've got to talk more. Now I can't remember it.
No, I can't remember either, because stuff comes out of my mouth and 2 seconds later someone will go, what did you just say? And I'm like, don't know. If I'm in that zone, do you know what I mean? I'm just letting stuff. I just say the same thing.
He'll come to you in a minute. Just leave it.
Just wanted to say it.
Put the request in the back of the brain, and it'll spit out the front.
It's just so powerful, and it shifted everything. For when I shared it with Michael, I remember him going, "Oh my God, I haven't thought of that." So I'll hope to get it before the end of the podcast. If not, I'll comment.
And if not, when it comes to you, might be 3:00 one morning or something. Let me know before this comes out. We'll put it into the part of the description, guys. So if it doesn't come out in this recording, it might be one of those things, have a listen and then go hunting in the description for what it is. Yeah.
Right. So in answer to your question, something that popped into my mind, and this is, I think, the way we both work.
Yeah.
You mentioned the pivoting before is interesting. Is very much, we've both got so many different ideas and projects and creative things and business ideas and everything in our minds, right? So we do operate with probably a certain amount of overwhelm all the time. And then I think we've gotten quite good at being able to park things for now, but not working out what to keep, what's parked in a place where it's not gone. So maybe in a hiatus or have a bit of break while I focus on something else.
The North Star.
The North Star at the time. That's right. Yeah. And so, and obviously we're business people. We live by our income. So obviously our business Girl Director has been our major North Star for the last 12 years. But those other things like filmmaking have never gone away. And you mentioned I'm a writer. Yeah, so I wrote a book over a long period of time, which is a whole world of intelligent plants set on the planet 94 million years ago. Now, this is a fantasy type of story. It's a Tolkien kind of thing. But it's all the characters are these intelligent plants of a type of species or genus of creation called Exoclintians. Now, what I'm doing is I've written this book, but I've always had that. When I first wrote it, I started writing it as a screenplay because I always saw it visually, but I didn't find screenplay writing a very easy way to get my ideas and develop them. So I said, stuff it, I'm going to write it as a book. So I wrote the novel. As I say, really happy. It's
amazing. I got to have a look. Of course, I couldn't read it. I can't even begin to tell you how many pages. But I'm a very picky reader with things like that, Michael, because I want to be caught up in it, because when I read stuff like that, I want to be in it. Do you know what I mean? I already have then my imagination that's going, you had me from the beginning. And
Fantastic.
then sometimes I would go through and then look at another section, as you probably watched, and because I couldn't read the whole thing. But everything was just like, oh my gosh, this is incredible. I think I said to you at the time, this is definitely a movie. So I mean, it is incredible. Yeah.
Thank you. It's really visual. And I guess so in answer to holding it as that's a thing that was, while I was doing that as a project over time and things, I mentioned before that I wanted to always be a filmmaker. This was the number one film over everything I've ever wanted to make, right? And because it's such a unique, big thing. And I see it as literally, this is a franchise. This is a multi-billion-dollar franchise. So this can be bigger than Harry Potter and Avatar and everything, I believe, because it's a new era, right? So that's where I think.
And I see it. Come on.
Yeah, I saw it the minute I opened it up and started reading, and I felt it. So I had chills, Michael. Chills is always confirmation.
Chills is a definite confirmation.
I don't think that maybe the plants visited him. Maybe they exist on another planet somewhere.
Well, many people have suggested I've channeled it, which is funny. I don't know, it just came to me. But there's lots of
people will be asking, Michael, have you taken psychedelics? Or is this?
Not recently. Not recently. No, I think I've moved beyond that now.
We don't also need that at times. Just
he lives there.
Living in
I live there. That's right.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the thing about it, so parking those things, and I think this is about, you talk about manifestation. So that was always there. Want to make the film. How would I do that? Not sure yet. We'll just keep doing what we're doing and things will come. And in the meantime, things come along with an old friend who we've been talking to, we'd lost touch with, who has made films like Hotel Mumbai and The Man Who Knew Infinity Damascus Cover. And that's Mark Montgomery, who is now a business partner with another guy, Steve Askew, who ran Star TV for Rupert Murdoch out of Asia for 15 years. These are our business partners, and we've made a film company, which is Impact Film Group. So out of this stuff, and the Exoclintians are now called Qualia. That's what it's going to be called. So it's a bit less of a mouthful because it makes sense when you read the story. So Qualia is now in amongst the set of films that we are working towards and pitching. So, which is great. And we've pitched it to our partners. They love it. We've got more work to do on that. And with filmmaking, we're a development company. So we're developing films from books and from original ideas, from subjects. And we have different business partners we work with outside as producers. So as producers, I just know what's great is that, as I said, I parked that for a period. It was never gone. It was always there in the big scheme of things. And for Rachel as well, who's loved it and is absolutely a massive supporter and vanguard for it. And we're partners in that film. So that now that just sits there and waits till its time. And its time is coming as part of building a film company that will be doing $5 and $20 million films. And this will be whatever, I don't know. I don't know yet with AI what kind of budget we might be able to get away with, but it's
I love your enthusiasm. Beautiful. You know, all the spiritual people, self included, it's like you've really got to feel it. So I'm going to say, you know, those that are listening to the podcast on the podcast platforms, you know, go back and have another listen and a watch when I put it on YouTube, because even just the facial expressions when you both speak, the manner, you know, it's like you're weaving it in through the whole feeling every time you talk about it. Rachel, two things I want to bring out. So, you know, that we get covered on. So the first one is that I want to ask you about, because I had the personal experience myself, and it was one of those moments that was so synchronistic. I'd written about it 2 years ago in one of your programs. You know, one day I want Rachel and Michael to do my branding, you know, imagery and the whole thing. And then the night before you sent me that voice clip, I was sitting outside with my husband under the tree saying, one day, right? And then I said, and I need a new logo as well. And you sent me that message the next day with the invitation to come over and have it done. And it was one of those leaps where sort of if I'd gone pure logic, it's like, no, it's not the right time. But knowing was screaming at me. And I didn't even have to ask for signs. They were just coming 360 degrees around, confirming it. But the gift that you have and the ability that you have to bring out that soul essence, because this is not just a branding experience. It's hard to find words for it, the magic. That I kept calling you a creative genius. You know, when you brought me the mood boards and you knew which one was your favourite and it was my favourite.
Oh, yeah. I'm owning it. Yeah.
Yeah. And you are. And I don't say stuff to smoke, you know, blow smoke up people. This is heart to heart, soul to soul. And, you know, other things, projects I'd been working on that were getting delayed aren't delayed. And I'm like, because my branding's all been redone, like, you know, I've stepped in. But you had this way of just bringing something out of me that I could never have visioned for myself in the images and the style. And then I've looked at other work that you've done for people. How do you do that? Like, it's so natural for you, but how do you do that? Because you're not looking with an eye in the way that, and I'm not insulting anyone else, but, you know, go have a look at Rachel's work, go have a look at my images. There's just something else there going on. And every time I look at them, one part of me is like, wow, is that me? And another part is like, wow, that's me. You know what I mean? Like,
so good.
Love it.
And I look at your images too, and I feel the same. And it's really interesting because every person that we work with, I will sit for 10 hours and really look at who you are, really feel like where you want to be, what colours like look good next to your skin tones. Like, I'll spend a long, you know, it might be late at night or whatever, a glass of wine. I'll just be sitting there and just really playing and going, okay. And with you, it was a really clear dream. And the dream was about, there was a lightning bolt that came behind you. I've never had this clear visual, it was so clear. I woke up and said to Michael, it was a lightning bolt, it was grey clouds. And I just thought, wow, it was just so powerful. And that's why in your branding, the clouds really are like you commanding the clouds. You're working with the elements, you're working with, and I get shivers saying that, you're working with the elements and the energy and the clouds are kind of just it's showing the emotion and the power behind you. So that's why when there's a clear sky in one, and then you've got this, big storm, and it's so beautiful because it's unspoken. And for you, we didn't want to, speaking to you, it wasn't about doing the same as what everybody else does. Yeah. It was about how can we create an image that's iconic, that makes you stand out, and also brings in nature and the power of the work that you do. So that's why I love it, because it's that balance. And I just find that every single person is just so different, and I can't explain how it comes, because it's just, I guess I sit with that, and I really do work with people that are different and that want to have something really iconic and different. So I think
what I notice is you love your juxtaposition. And so the way you would take that incredibly strong elemental image, but Kay's there in this super sharp red suit or red dress, so your use of colors. And that's really cool, because I love it. As a shaman, Kay, I love, the classic thing, shaman, it's going to be, boho sort of looks and that's all great. And maybe lots of things with feathers and stuff. And that's still in there, but put this really strong power poses. I mean, back in the 80s, they would call them power suits, and it's kind of like that, but they were a bit irksome, the power suits in the 80s. The shoulders were too big, but this just looked awesome, right? And so, and the hat and everything, and then putting it on the rock and things like that. It was just, I don't know. It just, and that juxtaposition comes up a lot in a lot of the work you do with people.
Surrealism is something I like too. Surrealism and one client we're working with on Monday, just looking at surrealism concepts, and I see them as art pieces, and I really want, when people look at them, to look back over a period of time, because if you look at any famous person, there's usually a few iconic images that they keep looking back at, and that's what I want with the images that I create, that people look back and they go, that was some of the best imagery of me that captures who I am. And I want that to stand the test of time, really.
Yeah. And, that red suit and the whole thing was you really listened deeply. And also, knowing me over the past few years of working with me as my coaches, it's that foot in both worlds. I'm not the typical, look at my hair, for goodness sake. And, but I am very eclectic, but even in the other work. And I think part of it is it's just your natural creative genius and your gift.
Thank you.
Because you are both so deeply soul connected yourselves and heart orientated, and genuinely, it's like you move into people and then you come back out and go, oh, this is what I saw, this is what I experienced, this is what I felt, this is what I heard, which is interesting because it combines your gifts together of, the sound being music and color and all of that I would call a beautiful tapestry. But there's also a process to it, like in that coaching session, the questions that you asked me, I keep saying to you, it reminds me of someone now who's a dear friend that I work closely with, but she started off as a coach for my branding values, etc. And it was a very similar process. And if I hadn't have done that years ago with my other friend, I wouldn't have understood what you were doing. You'd just go, oh, this isn't making sense. Do you know what I mean? Great question.
And the questions, also I'm listening for things as well. It's not a normal questionnaire, because I'm listening for where to take you, just like you are with this. And it's just, I feel very honored, and I really love it. And it's just something that I just have had hidden for a long time. That's just really over the last 12 months or more.
Well, it only took one photo that you'd taken, because it took a few weeks to sort everything that I wanted out and all the rest of it. But you'd taken, behind the scenes while it was all happening, and I sent it to my husband, and he immediately came back going, wow, great investment off one photo. Like, wow, I know where it's gone now. And for my husband to say that was like, okay, you've just done that to him. You've just gone, here's your shamanic wife that he doesn't always understand, but just loves and brags about. But do you know what I mean? Doesn't know my world like that. So thank you. And you know, I'm sure there's places that people can go and have a look, because it's not just my imagery. Then you look at somebody else who is an auditor and you look at her photos and you would not go, oh, she's an auditor. Do you know what I mean? Just the creativity and the personality and the essence and the soul.
You wait till you see the new ones of the gong we've just done.
Oh, so I can't wait to see those.
Yeah, they're looking awesome.
They're all so different. And then the next thing is, Rachel, you know, speak a little bit more into, I know you've got a few projects going in your film work, but the symphony one, you know, because you've sort of sent out that call, and, you know, speak into that one just a little bit more, because everything that you're doing, and I'm sure there's way more than what I know about, but everything you've spoken about to me is just like, okay, that makes sense, and that's going to be impactful. And there's a gap, there's a void there. This is going to be incredible. But as a shaman related to energy and sound and my love of nature, and, you know, speak into this one, if you don't mind.
No, well, thank you. Symphony of the Earth has been a project that beautiful friend, Dr. Jim Fraser, who's passed away now. He was David Attenborough's cinematographer for 30 years, and he, I guess, gifted or passed that legacy for us to continue that legacy. And when he first told me about Symphony of the Earth many years ago, I just thought to myself, oh my God, I want that. Why didn't I come up with that idea? And then, because I just thought from 15 that sitting on my bedroom carpet going, I want to be a music video director. This is kind of like my biggest ever music video to contribute. And I feel like it's the most important music video that I'll ever do. And it's bringing animal sounds into human sounds, but having some of the world's best artists that I can collectively put in one film. And then we have animal sounds mixed in there. So there's powerful messages, powerful lyrics. Composed. So it's very much about composing one film, soundtrack, and then we, you know, create the visuals. So I really
will also be incredibly creative and really beautiful, and mixing the mediums as well.
And really, the artists that I really want to attract, they may not even be in the actual symphony, but to attract people that can help bring this together. And that's why I was looking for Sting, because he's very passionate about the environment. He's an incredible musician. He's got incredible musicians around the world with different sounds. And he also is classically trained and listens to Bach all the time. That's his kind of religion. So I kind of feel that I want people like that are very connected to the earth, and also understand, how to bring frequency into this as well. So it's very much about a sound healing, but it's a celebration of who we are right now, and a snapshot in time of where we are right now with all the animals and incredible musics, from chanting to haunting sounds to really horrible sounds, because that's going to be a narrative. So,
and nature as well, because the earth makes sounds. Yeah. You know, the cracking of the ice, and, you know, the creaking of things.
Let me ask you a question. So what do you feel, Kay? And you may already know the answer to this.
Oh, she's turning the tables on me. All right.
She does that.
What's the very first sound that you hear when the sun comes up?
The birds.
Well, after talking to an amazing man who has been collecting sounds around the world for 40 years, I asked him that question, and he said that the very first sound is a dragonfly hum. And what that is the wings of the dragonfly, when it's because of the dampness in the air just before the sun comes up, the dragonfly has to fly, like have their wings fly, so that all of the water evaporates off their wings, so they can take off when the sun comes up. So there you go.
So we might not hear it, but it's there.
But I
love dragonflies. I love dragonflies. We get so many dragonflies in our back courtyard, and they come into the house. But I'm going to find the photo, because one day there was a dragonfly on my back door before I had bifold doors on the screen door. pure gold. When you look at the photo, you're going to go, it looks like someone's made that out of gold.
Wow.
Never, ever, ever. And it just stayed there for ages as I got closer and closer and looked at it, and I went, okay, this is messenger, right? This is not just Never have I ever seen one. And when I say to people it looked like it was made from pure gold, they're like, oh, yeah. And then they see it and they go, oh, my gosh, it does.
Wow.
So how beautiful to hear that that's the first sound, because dragonflies are something special.
They are. They're incredible
They're
things.
really something.
And there's so many sounds, like the lyrebird can make any sound, any human sound or any fake sound. It can mimic any sound in the world. It's like a digital recorder. And what's disturbing about that is they're playing back bulldozers, like clicks of cameras. Like so this is why Symphony of the Earth is so important. We need to have these sounds that nobody's heard of and put that in with music, because every sound is in nature.
Every time you talk, just from the crown down to the tips of my toes, and I feel like I can see it. And this feels like something that's going to be for generations to come and be reminded.
I just hope it happens, because sometimes I just go,
we just got to have energy. It's that thing around, it's all around funding. It's all around films. We have absolutely the ability to make the films. We just need the funding, and this is a big funding project. So we will get there, because it's one step after another, 1 foot and then the next and then the next foot. We'll get there.
I think with those I know for a fact, with those really big callings and aspirations, sometimes the humanness of who we are, we still, even though we know that it's being woven by energy and divine appointment and, can you imagine how many, movements there have to be for everyone and everything to get aligned?
Yeah.
And we think we know what the timing should be, a bit like when you were the younger musician, I want it now. And part of it is just staying in that knowing, feeling certain when we're uncertain, that locks us back into knowing. And I know it's going to happen, because when you talk about it, the chills are just so profound. And I know that there have been times when I've been told something couldn't happen, but I've had chills, and then years later or a couple of years later or a year later, and depending on, I've had so many experiences with it, it's like, oh my God, it's here now.
Yeah.
The
door opened up yesterday, actually, and I won't talk about the door yet, have to wait for that, but it was just like, oh my God, I better put him back into my storyboard.
yeah, that's right.
Well, the movie that I'm in, years earlier, and I talked about it in the last podcast episode, the power poster got shoved behind a cabinet because it looked like, well, that ain't happening. And then years later, like 10, 11, maybe it might be longer. No, because it's only just come out now, right? So 13, 14, maybe years.
Yeah.
There it is on the screen.
Wow.
Do you know what I mean? Thinking, but then when I look back now, everything along the way makes sense. And then the further it goes on and you look back, it makes even more sense. It's like a multi-layered cake almost,
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was going to be one layer. Oh, it's 12 layers of understanding and insight.
That had to be lined up.
It's interesting because one of the other things that we're doing with people, clients, to talk about the branding Rachel's has been doing, we've been doing those shoots. We're doing cinematic brand stories for clients now, which are short. They're like short documentaries for people. It's their stories. We've got some amazing stories we're working on with people, but they also they all lead to a movement. They have a strategy as part of them to help people to grow in that business. But what's really interesting about that, by doing this work with people even in the early stages, by getting people's stories out of them, people have got massive stories, and some people, just by being able to share that story and start to and be asked those questions where they get to openly talk about what happened, that is a healing process in itself.
Yes.
So like you said, with your documentary that you were in, there was a process that came from that, and it might have its own time when it comes out. But just by doing it, it's absolutely a growth process for the person involved. And so and that's what actually I love about these shorter brand stories, is because they're not massive they're not massive feature films that take years. They're literally things that take a couple of months. But in that time, someone's life can change dramatically, and they could be the beginning. For some of these stories are so big that they could be the beginning of a huge movement of things that people allude to or maybe are dealing with themselves but not sharing, as opposed to taking those out into the world that then makes a real impact in the world, which is what we're all about, is making impact with creativity and business, of course.
And here's the absolute clear reason why I stay aligned to you two by being a lifetime member, is because the enthusiasm that you have for others as well as for yourselves is exceptional. So one thing what would one thing you want to leave for the listeners, Michael? One wonderful gem.
Okay. What comes to mind straight away, what I haven't already said? I think you've just got to trust in yourself with what you believe is right and pursue that, because it means something to you before anyone else. And no, for me, that helps for me. And that's not how I used to be. I grew up as a people pleaser. I still am. But I think ultimately now I start to go, yeah, this is something that's important to me. I love this, and that makes me happy. If I've got a spring in my step because of it, then it's worth doing. And I'd say to you, whoever you are listening, do what gives you a spring in your step. Do what makes you smile, and just love it, and know that the people who that can help will get it one way or another.
Beautiful. Rachel?
I think the first thing that came to mind was that a lot of people dull down their creativity. And I feel that, especially with AI, that now we've been given tools that helps you to step more into that creative side, because innovation and creativity are very important. And I believe everybody is creative in their own way. I think it's important not to measure up or try and be like somebody else, but really embrace the creative side of yourself and stop trying to fit in and try and bring out the weirdness, because the weirder the story, the better. Weirder the images, the better. So bring out your weirdness and your creativity, I would say.
So let's put spring in your step and weirdness together, Okay.
In fact, didn't you said a great thing, and I wrote it down the other day in my notes. You said something like, with David Lynch, weirdness is your true soul speaking.
Something like that, yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Weirdness is you. It's like, yeah, because you think it's weird, but it's really what you really think and what you really want.
So given that the podcast is called Inner Voice of Knowing, how important do you feel personally your following your inner voice has been for you in your lives?
I think it's everything. And I love how you have really owned that phrase too, because that your voice is often in my head. And I'm like, so God, it kind of comes up now as, okay, you've really brought that in as a language more, which I really like, because it wasn't really a conversation that had, it's just instead of gut instinct or whatever, that inner voice of knowing, it is so true, because it is. You know yourself, and when you ask questions to yourself, the answers come.
Yeah. Michael?
And for me, I didn't do it for so long. I spent so long, my inner voice of knowing was left behind. I just felt different to other people, etc. And there's a few times when I was younger when I did start to find it, like when I was backpacking around Egypt and things in the 80s. But the time Rachel and I worked together, and I think that moment we talked before when I jumped into the business with Rachel, we started working that 12, 13 years ago. It's all a journey of inner voice of knowing. And it does absolutely, I honestly, I don't think I would be able to do this. I know I would not be doing this without the support and belief from Rachel and her being on the same kind of path. So, and I think having the right partner in your life who supports you for that is huge. And for me, that's where my foibles are, that I'm a bit I'm a bit scared. As I said, I'm a bit of a scaredy cat. So having someone where I can actually really be strong together and know that we're on the right path together and then take those risks, that's the inner voice of knowing in every way for me.
Oh, what a wonderful journey.
Thank you for having us.
Oh, I could talk to you both forever. I've caught up on Egypt and I'm like, oh, there's more life there, and something
there's the whole story there.
Something came out of chat which was about your van life or something. But thank you so much, for giving me your time, for being so open, for being, so upfront, and just for being your beautiful, beautiful selves. I might have a door for you to knock on, but we'll talk about that at the end of this. And we will have a link to Mike's music so that you can go and listen, because actually, hand on heart, it's really good. It really is. And each song is very different to the one before. You've got an eclectic style, and also to connect with Rachel, and so that if anyone's listening that might have a door you can knock on, or some money in their pockets, or someone that they know, or they just want to come and work with you, I can highly, 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 highly recommend it. So you're not getting rid of me, even when you become incredibly globally famous with your movies.
We'll be jetting around the world together.
You'll be flying to meet us to do some.
Yeah, I'm just thinking you might need to come and keep the energies right, Yeah.
We'll bring you on set to get the energy right.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Love it.
Thank you both so much.
Thanks, Kay. It's been awesome.
Thanks for having us.
Join me on my next episode. And if you love this podcast, please subscribe by clicking on the plus button if you're on Apple, or like and follow on Spotify. Rate and review. And please share Inner Voice of Knowing with your friends.